redefining power. And maybe that's what this is all about. We're redefining what power means, what political power means, what spiritual power means. We're extending the space of the sacred. So I could go on, but yeah, I just want, this is all to say, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful that I was part of this conversation, to listen to your work and to dream once again that, hey, look, that we're doing some stuff here.
Thank you. That's very generous, and I think you're right. I think it's under. I feel personally, I feel that this is that under it all there's a kind of a spiritual dimension, and also really a dimension of working on the level of consciousness. Because what we are trying to do here, we are stepping out of the system. Because the system is the left and right, and the system is, a lot of it is against. People go in protest. People go, we want the prime minister to go home, we want this to go home, and we say no. These are the people that were voted by chosen by the people in this country. They are what we have, and what we have to do is to create the public, to change the way the public perceives what's happening. And we are not going to do it by trying to shove our truth in their face, but actually by creating that space, as you were talking about, creating a space where they can come in safely and explore with us. And even now that I'm speaking, it's like there is us and them, and that's already not true. Because I have to say, in the beginning, when I joined the movement and we were trying to speak about this whole thing of diversity, I related to it initially as a strategic approach. We have to go to all these people because in the end, they are the ones who voted. Even now, they are the ones who voted the government, and that's why we need them in order to convince the government that we can do something. But it's actually the work and day in, day out, and making mistakes that taught me. It taught me a lot. It taught me that that I was very privileged all my life, and I don't have the experience that a lot of people have. People who think different from me, come from different backgrounds, have their lives. Their lives brought them into different places, and some of them know more than me about many things. And I think, in terms, it made me realize how arrogant I was, thinking that I know better. Righteous. I was really righteous. You didn't want to meet me during the Gaza war. I was so righteous about the whole thing. To really, there is something. I think what we are introducing is a different kind of power, because people tell us, you want to be able to do it because you're too soft, you're too nice, you're just nice women, nobody will listen to you. But we are going under the system, and before they know it, we have a lobby already in the parliament. We met with Netanyahu. Everybody knows us in parliament. We have mayors and public figures from the right that are suddenly, so it was, and it was a very different way. And the thing that is happening now, which is very beautiful, is that other peace organizations are starting to learn from us, to adopt different strategies, and realize that maybe there is a different way to work. So, and at the same time, also what you were saying earlier, which I think is very true, is that there is something universal in it, in our message. And this is why we have responses from all over the world. This is why there is a song that was created before the march, after the the songwriter and singer Yael Deckelbaum heard about the march, it really it brought something up in her, because it was kind of like a vision to her 10 years earlier, that women will march in the desert and from there the peace will come. So she created a song that became, I think, over 10 million people all over the world that watch it now. And there are marches in support. There were in Germany, we had in Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt. There was one in Cordoba. There's going to be one in Sevilla. There's going to be now one in the south of Brazil, and so forth and so forth. So there's something. And when I spoke with the woman from Cordoba, and I said, why, what is it to you? You are, a woman. She's not Jewish, not Israeli, have nothing to do with this, not Palestinian, have nothing to do with this area. And she said, when I saw this film, I just felt the desire for peace rising up within me, for internal and external peace. And she said, I needed to support you somehow. So they got 6 women together, and they had 6,000 women marching in support of women wage peace in the streets of Cordoba, just because of that.
Yael, I have a very simple question.
Uh-oh.
No, I think it's really simple. It's coming out of what you're saying. In fact, also what Bayo said before. Just contemplating, what are you doing? That's my contemplation. What are you really doing? What is the nature of your activity? And also what you're describing right now, this women in Cordoba, not being on either side, not being Israeli, not being Jewish, not being Palestinian. And also when you were describing before this one village where you have this right-wing Likud mayor that, if I understood you right, wants to have the biggest peace flag in Israel, and if I understand it right,
in the world.
In the world, oh, sorry. But if I understand it right, even to use the word peace for a right-wing Likud mayor is kind of a revolutionary something. So I really was confronted with myself. So what are you doing? And there's some answer that came, and I don't know if this is a thesis or a question, but I just put it out. That basically what are you doing is to allow something to grow between people. That you bring people in relationship. Also, when you were saying before, when you kind of saying, no, there is a common ground between us. But as I understood, the common ground between us, it's not pre-set something. You don't have an idea. You just bring people together and you're finding out that, I mean, basically, we're all human, but what does it mean? And in any kind of conversation, it may be a personal conversation, but it may be also a heated political or conflict conversation, and we just allow space between us. There's the possibility that because we are human, something can grow between us. And it's true on a very personal level, and it's true even if you really on the other side, whatever that means, politically on the other side, religious on the other side, or you are the colonialists and we are the imperialists. But when you allow some space between us, we are also talking about holding space. Something is growing in this space, and if we honor that, and if we don't even have to know what it is, something changes dramatically, because all of a sudden we are not just white imperialists and colonialists and suppressed people, or Jewish, Palestinian. There's something different, and to give this a chance is a different beginning. Is this something where you say, yeah, that's connected to what we're doing? Am I on the right track here to understand what you're doing? That's my question.
I'll try to answer, because I still am not sure what we're doing. I think I'm still learning about what we're doing. But I think there is something about allowing space, but I think the word allowing sometimes feel a bit passive, and it is anything but passive. And one of our projects called Peace for Peace, and it's a quilt project that started in one of our meetings with our Palestinian partners, and and now it's global. We have, I don't know, we have like thousands of pieces, and we said that when the peace will be signed, this will be the huge carpet on which the leaders will go. But why I'm saying that? Because many times we are talking about creating a human quilt. What does that mean? It means that on a quilt, everybody's connected. It's one piece. But if you look at it, every square has its own uniqueness, and that uniqueness doesn't touch. No square invades the other square. So there's something about that I myself still looking into it. But I think there's something. I think that the place. I'll give you an example. We had a meeting. We have an Israeli South and we have a Mediterranean South, which is with the Palestinians. And we were sitting together, and we met actually a group of Palestinians who are coming from a village. And some of them, where they walked in and they brought all their children. So we gave the children to do these quilt pieces, and the women sat. Some of their faces were really, really hard, and my heart sank, because I thought that these people have suffered too much. It's not going to work. And then we started to speak, and the first thing we asked was to just share something that each woman is proud of. And the first thing was a Palestinian raising her hand and speaking about how hard it is in the checkpoints. And it is really hard in the checkpoints for Palestinians. It makes their lives hell. So, so we were just sitting there and listening to her and giving the space. That's where the space is, the space for your voice to be heard as it is. No judgment. No correcting the facts, because sometimes we feel that we have to correct the facts. No, just listening. And after she spoke, the first one, and also I was worried that after she spoke, everybody else who spoke about it will become a doom and gloom conversation, because that was the first person spoke. But no, because there was no criticism, because we were all sitting there very open, just listening and supporting silently, literally the hardness dropped, and then there was a whole mixture of stories, some that has nothing to do with the political situation, and some that have. So there's something about, I'm not sure why I brought this example, but when you were speaking, that's what came to my mind. And I think it's because it's allowing, but it's also really a very careful and attentive work of weaving the squares. No, not weaving, but connecting the squares, to creating this network that then also can hold in it all kind of things, all kind of very difficult things. We have in Israel, I'm now in the middle of a big turmoil in preparation for the event in October, that I don't want to get into it what it is, but it has to be with how we see our relationship with our Palestinian partners, and it's like it's women are getting really emotional and a lot of fire, a lot of but we have created this quilt, that is something that this time I actually trusted we will go through, because in the beginning, every time this happened, I was really worried that the whole movement will collapse. So sometimes it can be, but now I feel that because of the ability to weave this quilt, which is also, I don't know if I said, the movement is a horizontal movement, which means that there is some hierarchy, but it's minimal. There's room for all these things to happen without it falling apart. And I think that's another thing that I think is different from other organizations, because many of the organizations collapse when they come to ideological frictions. And here I think that there's some kind of creation of some kind of a net, safety net that is based on the common ground, on the human common ground, that on it, that can take and contain a lot of upheavals.